Hello, and welcome to Reed Scholars Live. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Fleming, and current president of Reed Scholars. Today, I am joined by Dr. Candrice Heath. Dr. Candrice Heath is a triple board certified dermatologist currently practicing in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In addition to being a physician, she is a nationally recognized author, speaker, and entrepreneur, and she recently started her own beauty line, My Sister's Beauty. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
So,
Thanks for allowing me to share your platform.
I am in wonderful company. I appreciate you making the time. So tell me, where are you? How are you? How have the last few months been treating you?
I am in Philadelphia. I'm doing well now, but as most of the nation knows, it's been crazy for the last few months. Lots of changes. I pride myself on being able to change swiftly because I've moved about 13 times over the course of my adult life. But that was no preparation for what COVID would do. Turn the practice styles upside down. I mean, literally, things were changing on an hour by hour basis. And I like to plan ahead. So, that just was out of the window. So I'm surviving and thriving, but definitely has been a huge learning experience.
Definitely, to say the least. And we are still learning day by day, like you said, hour by hour sometimes.
Yes.
So, triple board certified dermatologist. So, we got to talk a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness.
So tell the people about your journey and your multiple fellowships and why those are important and how that led you to where you are today.
Oh my goodness. It has definitely been a long journey, but I can just say before we even get into the details that it was all worth it. It was totally worth it, and everything was in alignment, and I was in the right place exactly where I was supposed to be. I may not have wanted to be at that level or that location, but in retrospect, I think people can really understand and begin to appreciate that sometimes parts of your journey don't make sense until far down the line. So exactly, far, sometimes really far. So I graduated from medical school and I was interested in dermatology, and I had no idea. I mean, I was the first doctor in my family, still am on both sides. I didn't know any medical people. I didn't know that dermatology was like the most competitive specialty to get into. I was not prepared. I didn't know. So I applied like, oh, just apply, That's what you should, that's what you're supposed to do. And it didn't happen right out of medical school. So I ended up doing pediatrics because in medical school, I actually fell in love with both specialties. I knew I liked dermatology going in because I have a sister who has a green birthmark that covers one side of her face. So I was exposed to that field very early in life. And then during medical school, they say keep your options open. And during medical school, I realized that a lot of the students hated the pediatric rotation because you had to counsel the parents and they asked lots of questions. But I actually enjoyed that aspect. So I said, wow, let me file that away because this is a skill that maybe a lot of people are not interested in developing, or they have kind of this aversion to. So I decided to, pursue my pediatric residency, and I completed my pediatric residency at Emory in Atlanta. And I can still remember sitting in the NICU call room and as a third year, and everybody's excited about going off to do their jobs and what have you. And I had this sinking feeling that I still want to be a dermatologist.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, oh.
So, all along, all of my elective time and, any type of research, anything that I would do, I would always incorporate dermatology because that was an area of interest of mine. So, I had that experience, but I decided that, what, I don't want to do this. I do want to go back to pursue dermatology. So, as you all know, especially for the medical people listening to this podcast, you have to prepare. So you need research. You need to be able to, write papers and make connections and all of that. So I was able to be a fellow with a dermatologist, and she taught me how to write papers and introduce me to people. And then I worked with her for a couple of years. I learned how to do clinical research. I saw patients with her. So that really solidified, yes, this is what I want to do. It is worth the fight. I need to, enhance my application so that I can really give this a good go. I then went on to do a research fellowship at Northwestern University in pediatric dermatology, so kind of exploring the research aspect. And so I did that. So that was great. And after that, I thought, okay, how much more preparation can I do? I'm writing, I'm speaking, I'm doing all these things. Maybe God is just trying to tell me, maybe dermatology is just not for you. Maybe you need to just stay in your lane of being a pediatrician with a special expertise in dermatology and all of that. So I decided to just sort of move forward with my life. And I worked in the ER as a pediatrician. I worked in urgent care. And it wasn't until I was working in the ER and parents would call the ER to find out if Dr. Heath was on shift tonight or today because their kid was having an issue with their skin.
Mm-hmm.
We know, okay, you're listening to the Reede Scholars, podcast. So that is not a good use of the healthcare system. So it said, oh my goodness, there is still a definite need for dermatology. There's a need for pediatric dermatology, and I need to continue to pursue it. Okay, pursue it. So it's sometimes, I'm a believer in God, and sometimes you have to just sort of, and that's what I did. I said, well, I mean, I think this is the life that you want me to have and lead, and let me just, I'm just doing it your way. I'm, doing urgent care and all of that. And then I was just living my life, and I decided to continue to pursue this dream. An opportunity came up, and long story short, just when I thought that all hope was lost, I was given an opportunity to start dermatology residency as an old person.
Okay,
I wasn't old.
Real relative.
You know what I mean?
Listen, don't be aging me with you now.
I was more mature, but then when I got there, I actually had a co-resident that was older than me who sort of, did a PhD before, worked for so there was somebody else that was actually older than me technically, but it was definitely not a straight path for me. But I will say to those listening, that it's definitely worth the journey. Even after dermatology residency was over, I went on to do a pediatric dermatology pediatric dermatology fellowship. So at that point, my mom told me, my dad said, pursue whatever you want to do. If you want to go back and do more fellowships, you want to do another residency, go ahead. My mom says, nope, that was it. I needed to just stop and actually get a job and be a productive member of society. So that's how I actually got the triple boarded. So I'm boarded in general pediatrics. I'm boarded in dermatology. I'm boarded in pediatric dermatology. Mom said, okay, look, you have proven to the people that you can take a test and pass it and be board certified. You did it once, twice, 3 times. So it's enough. You have proved your point.
Like, we'll get a job. Yeah. Hilarious. Well, that is, I met you somewhere along the journey, and I was like, we gonna go back again? Like, what? But like you said, when the call is on your heart, you got to follow it. I mean, it just you're not going to be settled with yourself and comfortable with your life journey if you don't follow the call. So I get it.
Right.
I get it. So it is very inspiring, and I hope everybody who's listening follow your dreams. Hold the course.
Yes.
It might take a long time, but like you said, it's worth it. And you'll see the benefit. So kind of pivoting a little bit. So you did all this work to be a dermatologist, and then COVID hit, and you had to pivot a little bit. So tell us about the pivot during COVID.
Yeah, so I had some years of working in dermatology pre-COVID. And I worked in private practice. I really like to do lots of different things. And I pivoted out of that into working at a university-based department. And so, just adjusting as a new faculty member, going down the road. And then after my first year or so, COVID is happening, year and a half or so, COVID is happening. So I'm finally kind of getting my feet wet, oh, okay, I think I know how to do this. I'm balancing teaching with all the other responsibilities of being a faculty member and a mentor and all of that. And just as things are starting to kind of fall into place, COVID hits. So COVID really turned things upside down. I'd really like to focus on the positives. One of the positives was one of my areas of interest was telemedicine. And they did not have that at this department. So guess what? Now we do. Now, it may not have been implemented as swiftly as I would have liked it to be implemented, but it is here and here to stay. So that's one thing. Also, one of the interesting things that happened is that our hospital became the COVID central for the city.
Wow.
We were seeing the most cases. Everything. Like we were seeing a ton of cases compared to other hospital systems. And my community that I serve is it's I guess you considered it a underserved area. There are lots of African American patients, Hispanic patients, but then we also have these centers of excellence that bring people from all around to our hospital center. So it's a very, very interesting mix of people. And that I'm very, very proud to serve. But as we know with COVID, that who is it hitting? It was really taking out the Black and brown members of our community at a rapid rate. So, and that is, we were just smack in the middle of it. We were just really smack in the middle of it. The other departments were just overtaxed. So the ICU doctors, the medicine doctors, like all the teams were overtaxed. And so they needed help from other departments to come in and just really be bodies to, make sure the orders, check on the patients and all of that. So I was volunteered to go, voluntold, as we say in the South.
Yes.
To exactly. I'm gonna please hold. I'm gonna plug in my computer. Okay. Yeah, so I was voluntold, and that's what was going to happen. And oh my goodness, so many emotions, because it's like you're going into a zone where people are ill, that it's different than knowing every single thing about a condition. Oh, this person's in DKA, this is the protocol, this is what we're going to do. Right. Oh, this person has this is what. It's very different because this is an evolving thing. So it was probably the most rewarding part was that our pulmonary team the head of pulmonary would sit down every morning and go through every single patient. So although there were multiple teams kind of doing the hands-on, they would go through every single patient during rounds, and every single patient, despite where you come from, what you look like, received excellent expert care. I mean, there would be, 40 docs, okay? Can this person go on this research trial? What are the trends, okay? They were analyzing data that these people did better, so we're going to start incorporating that. So it was a great thing to see the House of Medicine come together.
Wow.
To fight COVID. And thinking about the things that I saw kind of gives me chills, and then also motivates me to say, wow, health disparities do still exist. And due to COVID, now we have the platform, we have an example of it that people cannot avoid. There's no way you can, avoid, I don't know anything about COVID, So I was happy to serve in that role. It was very scary. I would just think, oh my goodness, COVID is all over my body right now. But that's what I would think, like head to toe. And that's for a separate conversation. But I mean, literally, yeah, it was crazy. But I'm proud of my hospital system. I'm proud of the fact that I did serve in that role, and I was able to help to relieve some of the other doctors who have been going nonstop since the beginning of COVID. So yeah, so that's my COVID experience. We all have a COVID experience. We do.
Well, thank you so much for stepping up to the front lines. I mean, not everybody, even being voluntold, would have done that. Especially, going back on that knowledge of pulling back from med school, probably some of the stuff that you saw that you didn't have to think about in a long time. And so that takes a lot of courage, and we appreciate that. And thanks for telling us that story. So I mean, I think it's very helpful for people to really understand what the front line means when you're going in there. And like you said, even just your clinical experience in the hospital change or the office change, but also, like you said, you've got COVID all over your body. So everything changes about how even we come home, right?
Yes.
Taking clothes off and washing everything, and not, worrying about taking something home to somebody. And
yeah, staying away from loved ones. And then it makes you think about, okay, if I'm this super obsessive, and I can, separate myself from, friends and extended family. But what about people who can't? They have children. You can't tell a 2-year-old, no, you can't run and jump on me. It just doesn't work. So just imagining all of those things based on what I saw, having to get in your PPE, you see a patient and you have to get out of parts of your PPE to then go and see another patient. And then what if you left something outside of the room that you really needed? I mean, so there are just so many levels. And because there were so many patients, some rooms were not like, they used to not be exam rooms or hospital rooms. They used to be administrative rooms. So it's like, wow, like a month ago, this was somebody's admin office. And now it has been recreated into a bed for a hospital patient. So, just thinking about all the aspects of what it means to be in the hospital to get well. And what if you don't have a cell phone? What if you can't afford a cell phone?
Yes.
So then after a while, they were able to get some funding to supply those things for some people who did not have it. So that was like identified as a disparity. Okay. Some people may not have it, so we need to provide it, although the room doesn't come equipped with that. So just lots and lots of layers, just a lot of layers.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, even thinking about, like, most ICU rooms don't have telephones, right? And so you have people in there who are by themselves and no connection to the outside world, and it might be their end of days. I mean, it's just so much, right? It's just so much. And so, part of, like you said, COVID has heightened the awareness of health disparities. These are the same ones that have always been there, but they've been amplified and just highly visible with COVID-19 and the pandemic. And kind of in staying in touch with the pandemic, but also pivoting just a little bit or transitioning a little bit. So you talked about PPE, and I saw a lot of the pictures of people with masks all day, and so we think about going back to derm, about skin changes and how we connect, as physicians with our patients based on our faces, and then our faces are covered is one, but also how that is traumatizing to the individual. Is, for ladies who like to wear makeup to work, that's really not available anymore. For now, people who are having breakouts and skin changes because of wearing constant PPE. So, taking things that can be already challenging, but adding like another layer of demoralization to the process. So I don't, if you have any thoughts about that or.
Yes. So one of the things that I did not realize about wearing PPE until I had to do it, do it for a long period of time, is that it's like walking in a marathon, while breathing through a straw. Yeah. And when we were talking about PPE, we're talking about like N95s and, it is It's hard. It is
Yeah.
exhausting. Okay. It's exhausting. So that aspect, I don't think people talk about a lot. But being on the front lines and having to experience, and then you're sweating, you're hot because you have on the layers. It's just a lot. But then also from the dermatology aspect, yes, just having some repeated pressure on your skin like that can definitely cause irritation. And then irritation can lead to inflammation. And then sometimes just having the pressure on your skin can cause something called acne mechanica, where just from the pressure alone, you are starting to get acne breakouts. So now studies are coming out, or not studies, but just kind of observational things. What is happening to your skin under the mask? Well, there's more sebum production on the skin. And then you kind of have the other aspect, which is just wearing these things for so long. So behind the ears are getting irritated. So people are getting creative by, wearing a headband and then, trying to, adjust the mask. But really for healthcare workers, the fit is everything with the PPE. So you kind of have to leave it where it is and maybe add a bandage or a hydrocolloid
Oh,
bandage behind. Think about, those products that are made for, like if your heel rubs on the back of your shoe, it's
mhm.
kind of squishy. Like that's what you want to put on the areas that are really, really, are bad. But again, it's really health over comfort. So if you don't have a great fit with your PPE, it's really not worth it.
Mhm.
I would just say make yourself as comfortable as possible, and we will worry about the after effects of the mask later.
Mhm.
But definitely seeing lots of breakouts and just really encouraging people to cleanse your skin in the morning. When you get back from your shift, please cleanse your skin again. And you can use gentle products. If you have erosions or open skin areas, you can use a little, petrolatum if you have that, or petroleum jelly on those spots that are open. If you're having issues with acne breakouts or pigmentation issues, then we can start talking about some other, fancier things you can do. But just at minimum, cleansing your face morning and night is a definite must.
All very important parts, very important points. And, and I know, like you said, it could be frustrating, but at the end of the day, your health is important. The health of the people you're coming in contact is important. So it is still put your mask on.
Yes.
And we don't have too much time left, but I do want to
Hmm.
spend a little bit of time talking about your newest venture, because you were already an entrepreneur, right? But now you've added this beauty line to the mix. And as an individual, I remember going to the dermatologist first time when I was preteen, I think, early teenager maybe, to a person who did not look like me on any spectrum, right? And giving me some advice that I could not use at all. And, products for my face that just didn't work with my skin, products for my hair and scalp that did not work with my hair washing routine, and just being frustrated, and looking forward to the day when I could grow up and hopefully find a Black woman as a dermatologist, which I didn't find until med school, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm excited now that there are more people who look like me who are typically, I mean, it's not across the board, I can't call it a guarantee, but um, more people working in the space that are trying to be more inclusive of different hair types and skin types and regimens and that type of thing. So tell us about your journey, um, and where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And all those things that you just shared are so heavy on my heart because I like to attack problems from multiple sides. And I'm definitely working on a national level to help create a curriculum so that dermatologists, regardless of their background, their creed, their color, their whatever, can be comfortable taking care of a patient who does not look like them, who does not have hair like them. So that will be one of my ultimate life goals, to make everyone comfortable dealing with who lands in their exam room. But as far as my entrepreneurial journey, I mean, this has been going on for several years, and I'm a planner, right? So a long time ago, I sort of started to think, well, what are the things that I would want to do? And, I started to take classes in entrepreneurship, specifically for medical people. What can we do? And the idea of having a skincare line was brought up, and I'm like, oh, really? Like, oh, but it made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense. So sort of like, well, I'll kind of get around to that when I can. So it's something that I have definitely been working on, and it's interesting that now everyone like knows it exists. And I'm thinking it's been out for quite a while, but I really had not. I don't know. I'm so like forward with everything else, but with this, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I have a little skincare line. I'm like, it's like I keep it under wraps, right? It's been literally has been out since, oh goodness, when did I like first get, was it sometime in 2018?
Yeah.
And then sort of, get people to use it more, you get feedback and you kind of add layers to it. So now with everything happening with COVID and the disruption in our communities and all of these activism that's going on, there was this push to say, well, are there brands that are, made by women of color, people of color, and that sort of thing? And so I did one post on social media about me having my brand, and that I was the true owner behind the brand, because I was kind of standing behind that. I was wanting the community to be created around the goals of My Sister's Beauty, and I was sort of in the background. But then I just sort of put my face out, and everyone's like, oh my God, I didn't know that this was happening. So yeah, but I'm very excited about the attention that it's received. I'm excited about, all of the feedback, and yeah, it's definitely designed for women. I definitely designed it for women of color. This first iteration, definitely. So all the things that, we often complain about. You may have oily skin, but you also have dry, sensitive skin at the same time in places. Blemishes on the skin, whether that's breakouts or dark spots or whatever. Like those things that it happens a lot. Sometimes when you are using ingredients to help with those things, you do need to kind of allow your skin to recover. So then I also have the My Sister's Beauty Recovery Cream, which is packed with all those things your mom told you about, aloe and vitamin E, and then some things, as a dermatologist, I know that you need, that you don't think you need, retinol and things like that. So I kind of really meshed all of that together so that this first iteration of these group of products could really help a large spectrum of what I see as common pain points in my women of color community. So yes. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's exciting. And I think, we're all trying to learn and grow and find our spot. And I think it's important, like I said, just knowing there's something out there for me and not trying to put together little pieces here and there to find something that works. So
and that's another thing to add. So when I was thinking about what I would do with the products, I designed them knowing that in real life, as women, we use this, we attach to a product, we have to have this for our eyes because we've used it, it doesn't irritate or whatever, or we have to have this. So I designed products that would just fit into what your normal routine. So I did it that way. So
I like it.
yeah.
Well, we already knew you were very smart, but you can continue to impress us with your forward thinking and well, as we come to a close, I usually like to close with a bit of optimism. So as you look forward, as we go forward from now, what do you hope that we've learned from our recent set of events, and what are you optimistic about in the future?
I hope that we have learned that we are all part of the human race. Yeah, that happened on cue. That we have learned that, we are all part of the human race. We all have suffering. It is all of our responsibilities to make sure that if there is one among us that is suffering the most, that we lend a hand to find out what the issues are, hear them out, and is there anything that we can do as a whole to really lift up our brothers, our sisters, our other humans. And my forward thinking optimism is the thing that makes me happy and at ease, is that people are willing to have more open dialogues about health disparities, about medical training and being a person of color. We just have not had a platform. We talk about these things, we share stories, but we've never done it in such a public way as this. And so I hope that by sharing these things, that some of the barriers will be lowered, for people who don't even start the journey because they just think about all the bad things that can happen. But hopefully we have made the path easier for other people by actually bringing a voice and a face to things that have happened and presenting solutions for the days ahead.
I like it. I totally agree with you. We have an opportunity for growth and change here, so hopefully we will use it.
We do.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to share your journey with us. We
Thank
hope
you so much.
you stay well and stay safe out there. Um,
Yes.
we look forward to continuing to follow you on your career.
Yes. And speaking of following, you can follow me on social media.
There you
So
go.
So follow me on social media. It is I'm on all platforms except TikTok. Haven't really gotten into TikTok yet, but you can follow me on social media. This is Dr. Candrice, your favorite fun board certified dermatologist, your go-to girl for everything healthy hair, skin, and nails. And you can find me at Dr. Candrice Heath. That's at DrCandriceHeath on all social media platforms. And if you want to support the skincare line, you can certainly go to www.mysistersbeauty.com. I'd love to see you there. And thanks again, Mary, for sharing this platform.
No problem. Thank you so much. See you later. Talk to you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Reed Scholars Live. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel.